And now we're going to make some roasted potatoes that go really well with that lentil loaf that we just made. And they're red potatoes, so they've got some color to them, so you know that there's some good vitamins and nutrients in these red potatoes. And we're going to quarter them and then quarter them again, like this.
And we want to keep the skins on, right? Because that's where a lot of the nutrients are,
yeah.
and the fiber as well.
Fiber's in there too, so yes, we're keeping the skins on.
Now, Dr. Youngberg, what types of patients would you recommend this recipe to?
You know, there's one of the greatest risk factors that I'm finding with my patients right now is elevated inflammation. You can actually test inflammation with a blood test called cardiac CRP. And that test shows risk for heart disease or cancer. It's twice as effective at picking up risk as cholesterol is for heart disease. And so we're trying to help them lower their inflammation. Now, a recent Harvard study showed the 4 most likely inflammatory foods. Guess what those were? First is processed meats.
Wow.
So processed meats are even 3 times more likely to promote diabetes than regular red meats. So you totally want to stay away from processed meats. Number 2 is refined grains. And as you notice in Karen's recipes here, there's no refined grains, or very little. And that's really important because it's very inflammatory. It turns on the genes that cause disease.
So the refined grains would be like white flour.
White flour, white rice.
Bleached flour.
Bleached flour, exactly.
Okay.
And then the third most inflammatory food is, well, it's an easy one to figure out. Candies, pastries, things that are really high in sugar, sodas, things like that. And then the fourth category is not even a food at all. It's an artificial sweeteners, which is primarily the diet sodas. So a lot of people think, hey, I'm going to lose weight if I use diet sodas. And all the good studies show that they actually gain weight when they use the diet sodas because it creates inflammation in the body, makes you hungry. Okay, so stay away from those inflammatory foods. And if you want to know what the anti-inflammatory foods are, voila, here they are. These are the foods that turn down that furnace inside of our bodies that is causing damage, premature aging, cancer, Alzheimer's, heart disease, and so forth.
Wow. That was a mouthful of information, boy. Something we all need to hear. I mean, most people don't realize how inflammatory those foods are. And you think white flour is harmless. Or even white rice. You never think about that having
That's one of the biggest problems in our society is that even when people have a relatively decent diet, they're getting way too many refined grains. And that causes, over time, weight problems, insulin problems. It promotes diabetes, heart disease, and cancer.
No wonder we've got so much disease.
That's right.
It's really sad. Well, Sandra, you're a lot faster than I am chopping those potatoes. Okay, here we go. We've got about 8 potatoes in here. And now we're going to do some garlic, fresh garlic. That's the best. So you can tell I like garlic a lot, and I use it a lot in my cooking. So we're going to just mince 6 cloves of garlic.
Of course, the garlic, great way to keep the colds at bay or the flus. So that's really important. But make sure that you're always taking advantage of sunlight, right?
Yes.
We got to get out there in the sunlight on a regular basis. If the sun is high in the sky, at least needs to be at least 45 degrees up in the horizon to generate vitamin D. Get 5 minutes, get 10 minutes, get a walk after lunch. Not only will that lower your blood sugars and help you feel better, get more nutrients to the brain, but it'll dramatically enhance vitamin D in your blood, which is one of the best protections against inflammatory problems like the flu and colds.
So that's the natural way to avoid the flu.
Yeah, we want to really get what we call the synergistic effect, which is you don't just try to get it from one thing. You get a broad variety of nutrients, and that's how God presented them for us, is that He gives us so many things that we can take advantage of, and a lot of people, all they do is eat fast food. That's just processed food, and it has all the nutrients removed, primarily.
That's really sad.
Now what are you putting on right now?
I'm putting on fresh rosemary. I've got a rosemary bush in my backyard, and it's so nice to just be able to walk out there and snip a few sprigs of this and add it to your potatoes, because boy, let me tell you, it gives a lot of flavor to your potatoes.
And what are they high in?
Well, you know, rosemary herb is an awesome herb because it has this special chemical called rosmarinic acid, and it actually inhibits a gene, the activation of a gene and enzymes that can lead to problems, that can lead to neurotoxicity, and that can promote, you guessed it, inflammation.
Inflammation.
So again, this diet is a
inflammation.
great anti-inflammatory meal, partly because everything that we're putting in it has anti-inflammatory qualities, literally turns off the gene that promotes inflammation. By the way, a researcher recently at the Joslin Diabetes Clinic in Boston found that the diabetes gene is turned on by inflammation.
Yay.
And so if you can, on a daily basis, use anti-inflammatory foods like Karen is showing you in all her recipes, you can literally turn off that diabetic gene and dramatically lessen your risk of developing diabetes or prediabetes or heart disease.
Wow, if I'd have known that, I would have enjoyed my potatoes so much more all this time I've been eating them.
Now, what else can you put rosemary on besides potatoes?
Pretty much I use them for potatoes more than anything else, but I'm just trying to think. What else do I use rosemary in?
That smells good.
You'd have to give me a minute to think about that. Okay, a half a teaspoon of salt. That's about a half a teaspoon of salt right there. And a teaspoon of all-purpose seasoning. Grab a teaspoon here. This all-purpose seasoning doesn't have any sodium in it, so we're just going to add a little bit of that to these potatoes. And a teaspoon of onion powder.
Now, Dr. Young, you were telling us earlier how onions can help with allergies and stuff like that. What other good qualities do they have?
Oh, onions are really high in quercetin that we discussed earlier, which is the antihistamine quality. And onions do so much for our health. We could write a whole book about the value of onions and helping protect against cancer, helping protect against, again, inflammatory problems. A great anti-inflammatory.
Okay, we're down to finishing up these potatoes. All you do is add a couple tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil and just stir this up, and then you can put them on your baking sheet and stick them in the oven and let them bake at about 450 for about 30 minutes. And we'll just show you, there's a finished product here. That's how they look when they're finished. And let me tell you, when they are in the oven baking, they are just awesome. So give this rosemary potatoes recipe a try. I think you'll really enjoy them. And we'll see you in just a minute.
Karen Houghton, host of the TV series Naturally Gourmet, has developed a wonderful cookbook from her years of experience preparing tasty and healthy meals from a plant-based diet. In her cookbook Naturally Gourmet, Karen features a wide variety of recipes, from baked breads to sumptuous soups, from excellent entrees to delightful desserts.
I'm Karen Houghton, and if you've been enjoying these programs, I want to tell you about our new website, www.naturallygourmet.com. At that website, we have available DVDs, full set of them from all these cooking shows. We also have available a cookbook called Naturally Gourmet with more recipes and more health information.
Order Naturally Gourmet today for only $24.99 plus shipping and handling at naturallygourmet.com or call 760-723-8082. That's 760-723-8082. Your adventure into healthy living is only a phone call away.